there's a podcast by the It's Always
Oh,
Sunny
really?
crew.
Nice.
And they're going back through and doing all of every episode they're doing a podcast about. So
That's
that's going to take
awesome.
them a long time to finish. I mean, even if we do end up losing It's Always Sunny content, we'll still have a
Hmm.
podcast to keep up with on how they made it. But I mean, honestly, like all of those guys are showrunners, right? So they not only act and produce and write it, but they're also like very well off. I mean, I know Rob McElhaney owns a soccer team with uh, what's his name, Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, he's involved in that.
Yeah, and they
I
they
didn't
made
know
a
that.
show called Welcome to Wrexham. He's also on a Apple Plus series called Mythic Quests, which is really
Cool.
good. I love it.
God, there's so much stuff out now. Every time I
Yeah,
get on social media or every time I get on Rotten Tomatoes, or every time I pull up one of these review sites, there's always this show that like I just don't have time to watch. I mean, there's just
yeah.
I
And
feel
like
like
all of
once
them are successful too. Like Charlie Day, he just wrote,
yeah,
directed, and like acted in a movie, like self-produced everything. Like Charlie Day did it. I think some of this, I think movie studios attached onto it, but he spent all the money on filming and locations and all that kind of stuff. Which is really exciting, but just for somebody to actually come out and be able to do on their own and for it to be successful.
yeah.
And then what's his face? What's the other guy's name? Dennis Reynolds. Forget it. It's
Glenn Howerton.
Glenn Howerton. Yeah, he was just in a couple movies. He was in Blackberry, which was really good.
Blackberry. I haven't heard of that. I've heard of Blackbird. That's on Apple TV Plus. I'm gonna watch that soon.
Oh no,
It's
Blackberry's the one about the BlackBerry device. Is it called Blackberry?
wait, there's a
Yeah.
show about the BlackBerry device?
No,
That
it's
would
a
be awesome
movie,
to
and
watch.
it stars Glenn
Oh
Howerton
shit.
and like a couple other guys as they built the BlackBerry company, and then ultimately
Oh
it
my
failed.
God.
Hello and welcome to the Vertical Bar Podcast. I'm your co-host, Your Name Here, joining you from Orlando, Florida, as we dive into the latest innovation tech trends and just chat about the industry at large. And I'm here with,
And I'm Marcus, your Atlanta-based other co-host. Together, we're here on a mission to explore, share, and demystify the world of technology.
from our own company, Vertical Bar Media, to the wider tech universe. We're here to delve into all things digital. But enough about us. What's on our topic list for today, Marcus?
Yeah, so in this week, we got some tech stuff. First off, from NASA. NASA is planning on launching its own streaming service on November the 8th. That's obviously going to go well.
Yeah, so I got to check that out. It's a little bit unimpressive right now, but hopefully they turn it up a little bit. It's just kind of been plagued. It's the app is more of like a web page browser, and it's not actually
Mhm.
pulling content from the web pages. It's like
Oh,
just
cool.
displaying the web pages. So there are some funky UI issues. So hopefully they kind of clean that up. But it's
Cool.
exciting overall.
It is exciting. You're right. I shouldn't have
Yeah,
said
free to
that.
access content is always great.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It is pretty cool. I was speaking more so from like an NRA perspective. I know whenever like other like non I don't know when other people launch streaming services, we never hear about them after they launch. But NASA is way cooler than the NRA. The NRA has a streaming service and it's terrible. So I shouldn't have said that. But hey, it is cool. Space is cool. Astronauts are cool and drones are cool. Hey, for our second topic, we have the Blizzard president says that players have no patience and that they want new stuff every hour.
Well, yeah, duh. I mean, you keep
I
giving
know,
it to
right?
us every
Yeah,
hour. So like, why are we gonna not
exactly.
want every like 30 minutes from this point on?
That's very true. It's very true. And but here's the thing. It's like there are only a couple of popular games now, and maybe video gamers that aren't exploring like different titles the way we used to. So I don't know if gamers
I
now
mean,
will
I
just
agree with that, but I also will counter that with Steam. Steam has both organic and
hmm
like curated forms of advertising on their platform. It's not really advertising, it's content delivery or algorithm make display or whatever it's actually called. But part of their section is just based on like how many players play it, if it's interesting, and like all this kind of stuff, and it has nothing to do with their like paid advertising spots. Which has actually allowed for a lot of organic hits to come through Steam, but that's not
Cool.
necessarily the case for other developers or other platforms, like Apple's. gaming, whatever they're calling it, or Google Play services, because their top stuff is always pay to win, always dollar billio kind of stuff.
Money, money.
Money, money, money. And it's surprising because, Google actually put out their, like, they tried to do the handheld cloud gaming Stadia stuff.
Yeah, I remember.
Failed pretty
Yeah,
hard at that
failed
really
pretty hard.
quickly,
Yes, very
surprisingly. But
fast.
Steam has announced their Steam Deck, and they've announced a refresh to it that is
The
actually like
OLED. Yes,
incredible. It's like
yes.
it's
I
it's
recently saw
actually a
that.
slap in the face to Nintendo because Nintendo released their OLED screens, right? But absolutely no changes to the actual device, no performance
Right,
increases,
exactly.
nothing. Steam went ahead and did the same thing at the same price, increased all the
Hmm.
storage options on all of their tiers, and they increased the performance and battery life with a new brighter screen. Um, and they didn't even have to like change the device that much. There are some components that probably won't fit between, but overall the case and the structure is generally the same, so repairability is kind of the same. And it's just another slap in the face to Nintendo. It's kind of crazy.
You're so competitive. I love it. Yeah, no, that's awesome that they're focused on this product because it's one of the most powerful handheld machines that's ever come out, and it really is a game changer. And I always like
Yeah,
stuff like that. And I like that they're
yeah,
not giving up on it. They're already refreshing it. They're not
oh
waiting
yeah,
years, and they're
oh yeah.
going all in, which is awesome. That means
And
that that
one of the things that's telling about this is that it's already in the hands of people. People are able to buy it, and it's being shipped
right.
right now. There's no
Amazing.
back order. It's not back behind anything.
Nice.
It's like, hey, this is the new Steam Deck. This is available. Buy it,
That's
and people
good.
are
It was
getting
it
it.
was it was planned and mapped out, and I'm glad
Yeah,
it's going well. So
yeah.
for our
Which is kind of
third topic,
surprising
oh,
from a company that's non-publicly traded that it's actually like able to do the things that it does and still compete with giants like Google. Like
yeah,
Steam and
exactly,
Google are
exactly.
fucking competitors, and Steam is winning. No way.
And also, is this their first hardware product for
No,
Steam?
they
Because they're
have the
usually
Valve
very
Index, which is also a game changer in the virtual reality
sounds cool.
world.
Oh, I didn't know.
Um,
Oh, I actually have heard of
yeah,
that. Okay, cool,
yeah. So
awesome.
they've had that for a while. They've tried to do like desktop consoles kind of
Okay,
things. Steam boxes. They did a controller that wasn't so great. But it was good. It just was different, and it was too different, I guess. It's kind of hard to use for certain things, but it's actually like a really good media controller.
cool. No, I always like when companies take chances and they don't back down. So that's good. I like that the Steam Deck is popular. I remember the box thing. I forgot what you just said it was called, but also remember the Nvidia Shield. I think it was a TV box. It was a gaming box, but it was set up sort of
Yeah,
like
it's
an
a
Apple TV type
cloud
box
device
device.
box.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
So
Steam tried to do something like that, but that was a long time ago and it wasn't.
yeah, it was.
Yeah, we don't have the technology that we've had today with our new advanced APU, combined CPUs,
Dude,
low
I
power
know.
wattage, all
That's
that
why
kind of
like
stuff. But hey,
it's
anyway,
funny
this
the
next
oh
topic that we're supposed to introduce.
yep. Oh, so the Marvels box off The Marvels is the most recent film launched for the MCU by Marvel Studios, and the opening weekend box office breaks a 15-year MCU record. I think it's had the lowest box office return since the Incredible Hulk film,
Yeah,
which
before
also
the
didn't do very well.
MCU was actually kind of established.
Yeah, yeah, most people forget about the Incredible Hulk because it came in 4 years after the original Hulk film from 2004, and it
Mhm.
was sort of launched alongside the original Iron Man movie. The Iron Man movie obviously is well known, but the Incredible Hulk film is mostly forgotten about. So,
Yeah.
yeah, but hey, the Marvels, the reviews haven't been that bad. The critic scores are average, but the audience scores is above an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes. So we got another divide in audience versus critic critic response. But yeah, we'll talk about that after everything else. Let's
So yeah, without forgetting to thank our AI overlords for scripting this
there
intro.
you go.
Let's
What's
dive
up?
into NASA's streaming service. What's the deal going on with that?
Yeah, so I guess the service will be called, and this is all AI generated, by the way. So if there's any mistakes, fuck off. The service will be called NASA TV and will offer live and on-demand content, including coverage of NASA missions, interviews with experts in educational programming.
That's cool.
It's
So
also
it's going
going
to
to,
be available. It looks like on the web, mobile devices, smart TVs. I saw an app for Roku, Apple TV Plus. There also should be Android, iOS support. I
All
believe
that good
that you'll just be
stuff.
able to access it on any computer with an internet browser as well.
Yeah, and this is awesome because I feel like streaming TV is always focused on entertainment and things like that, but we forget that streaming can also be really good for educational purposes. So when you have people, especially graduating from high school, college, who want sort of free access to some new information,
Oh yeah,
easier
no.
ways to digest this stuff, it is awesome to remember that instantly and readily available content from places like NASA could be really good for people who are trying to get in the field. So
Yeah,
I
and
applaud
even
it.
so, like I've been looking for different ways to. I feel like TV and like apps and all this kind of stuff are cheat codes for children.
They
Um,
really are, right.
they like
It's not a
the
bad
stuff
thing.
that I've seen my child learn from watching content on TV is incredible. So I mean, it's really important to curate the content that they do watch. Um, Ultimately, and as he gets older, he'll get a tablet, and that tablet will have parental controls on it, app timers, all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. But there's certain
Family
things
link.
like I remember they were talking about this on the WAN show, but there's like games like word scrabble or something like this. To me and you, that seems like a time waster, right? Like there's something that we could
Right.
actually be doing. But for a child that can't spell or like
Hmm.
that can't read yet, that's
Right.
like that's literally a cheat code. Like that I
Exactly.
don't care how much time he would spend on a tablet playing word scrabble. I would care if he's
Right.
watching like, some kind of YouTube content or something, but I would give him unlimited time to play like those types of games, like Scrabble, like even like Tetris or something like this, like stuff that really works the brain in like unique ways. Oh yeah, 100%.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's like kids are learning differently or differently, um, than we did back in the day. Not
Yeah.
I know I was really bad at learning in a classroom. I basically came out of high school as a really, really, really dumb person, but I consider myself to be very, very intelligent nowadays, right? 15 years later. So it's like certain kids learn certain different ways. I think if I had more
I think we
access
were
to
all kind of the same
technology,
way in high school. Like
yeah,
we weren't really
yeah,
getting the type of I don't think kids are getting the type of education that they deserve anyway, anywhere at
yeah, of
any
course,
time
of
right now.
course. But certain people
At,
might
at
learn
least at
on
least with the
devices at
technology that we
home.
have, at least with like the knowledge that we have. I mean, the knowledge that goes into like Facebook developing
Hmm.
their algorithm to target children to like sell
Yeah,
them stuff when they're adults. That's
right.
incredible. Like, why can't we use
It
that to
is.
like make people engineers?
Exactly. It's like if you're constantly looking up things about a certain job position, whether you want to be an engineer, a writer, anything, and you look
Yeah.
into it over and over, and they send you cheat codes or shortcuts based off the information that you've given them, that could help you pursue
Yeah,
something
I mean, because it's
faster
even
than
how
having,
it's even
yeah,
how adults learn stuff. It's like, hey, how am I going to figure out how
exactly.
to fix my refrigerator? Oh, I could look up this YouTube video, the guy that did it like 20 years ago.
Exactly.
And
It's
like
like,
I
yeah,
can
it's
learn
like
from that. I can learn from that experience. And like,
right. And it's faster
that's
because
literally the best way to do it without like having a manual and like actually having the technical expertise to be able to do that as
right,
like a job
exactly.
skill or something.
No, I completely understand. It's like I always get advertisements for Coursera, which is a certification website that's linked to a lot of tech companies, and they have like UX researcher, UX design, cybersecurity, all these certifications that are constantly being advertised for only $50 a month, and they're being taught directly by Google or they're being taught directly by Meta. And it's like there's so much cool stuff out there, and this NASA streaming site will basically add to the way that all of this stuff is, I guess, mapped out. There's a lot of different sections of the internet where you can pull data, pull information, pull resources, and then you can sort of like map out your own journey for how you want to get to a certain place in your career, or place in your educational journey. So yeah, I think this is a good thing. I'm not really heavily involved in space, but I do think it's good for people who want to pursue this for sure. And you're the drone expert, so like, what's your take on like? I'm pretty sure drones would be used in this sort of thing in some way. Like, there's some sort of link, right?
And what, NASA?
Well, NASA and like aerial space stuff. It's
Yeah,
not my
I
thing.
mean, it's
So
all
I'm trying to let you
drones.
take the yeah.
What do you think's
Okay,
on
sure.
What do you think's on Mars right now?
A
It's
drone.
it
There we
has to,
go. There it
yeah, it
is.
has to be controlled autonomously. Like we think of them differently as like different types of
Counters.
robotics. Um, but I mean, it's just a means of propulsion that generally changes between like a flying drone and like a power washing drone, or like something that's roving around, or like the Voyager. Like it just has a single ion propulsion engine. It's just like shooting off at near 1 million miles per hour. Trying to
Cool.
send data back to us,
Yeah.
about its position and like what it's sensing and like radios and magnetics and all that kind of stuff out in space. But that's been going since like the 60s, 70s.
Well, not
But it's
everyone.
all drones. It's all drones, and it's kind
Cool.
of crazy. Like it's amazing at how now it's like it's it's entered the public awareness so uniquely that you can like you can go to Costco and purchase a drone for like 400, $500, and like you can
I
actually radio
know.
control it. But
Yeah.
like when we're talking about stuff on Mars, like that takes 14 minutes to send data back. That's how long light takes to travel.
Cool.
Or the radio communications takes to travel. It takes a little bit less time to do light, but we're not really capable of transmitting consistently with light. Radar will Radio waves penetrate through the atmosphere a little bit better. But that's who gets like super technical.
Yeah, no, you but you did just remind me of a show on HBO. It was a comedy show. I forgot what it was called. It was canceled after 2 seasons, but it was made by the same creators of Veep, which starred Julia Louis-Dreyfus as the Vice President of America. Anyways, it was like a show about like a crew that went off to some luxury, sort of like a cruise ship in space, but it had some funny characters. It had the lead from a house back in the day. I forgot what his name was. He was also in Veep, but there was
Hmm.
always a joke about like them having to wait for all the data to get back to NASA on Earth, and it was like a fuck, I can't think right now. It was a recurring joke, but there's like a short form name of that. A running gag. There we go. It's one of those. So you just reminded me of that.
Avenue 5?
Avenue 5. Thank you, producer Dan.
Oh, with
Avenue
Hugh
5.
Laurie.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go. I'm not at my computer right now, but it's something that I looked into, and I watched the first season. It wasn't very good, but apparently the second season, like most comedy shows, the characters got a little bit more fleshed out, and it was apparently really good. But HBO has been on this canceling thing lately to save money, so it got axed, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Those bastards. Fuck AT&T.
Well, speaking of axes, Blizzard president, who's about to get the axe, is in the news again. But oh man, I'm so tired of talking about Blizzard.
I know they've been in the news for the past like 6 months due to this acquisition.
I mean, they've been in the spotlight for a lot longer, and it's just shifted to the transition. I mean, they've had quite a few leadership issues
Hmm.
over the years, and the Microsoft acquisition has kind of taken the light off of those.
That's
But
good.
that has been a substantial brain drain from Blizzard um, for a long time, honestly, and Activision overall. I mean, they've just been kind of mismanaged a little bit.
Yeah.
And it
It
kind of
does
shows with
seem like they've
Overwatch
been
2
playing it
now that they're
safe a little bit
canceling the
lately.
Overwatch League. You hear about that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it's probably going to cost them a bunch of money on contracts, honestly. But all the teams in the Overwatch League decided to opt out of participating anymore in the league. I guess it's a collective contract thing.
So is
That
it
if all
something
the
where like
players decide that they
gamers,
don't want to play, they can stop playing.
so these are like the popular gamers who like are monetized and make money off streaming services and bring attention to the
Yeah, and then
platforms, like
compete
they're
in
opting out of
and then compete. Yeah, in tournaments.
cool. When I well, cool, but not cool, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind
So what
of
is this due to?
when Overwatch originally released, they did this, but they started the Overwatch League, and that's like how they wanted to drive competition because
Hmm.
that's just kind of it was. We can look back in hindsight in 2020 and say it was a bad decision, right? But honestly, like they wouldn't have known that. It's probably a good idea to launch a league like that and like support it, to support your game. But they ultimately focused on making the competitive experience as good for the competitors as possible and almost completely eliminating casual play out of the game. Like it's almost completely impossible to casually play Overwatch. And now that they've released
I
Overwatch 2 and completely erased Overwatch 1, same thing
bastards.
is, right? And yeah. So it like I have Overwatch, it's free to play, but like it's so monetized and so competitive that like I cannot have a good time in it. It's just not fun to play. Um like unless like I had a group of friends that played it, and unless I was
Mhm.
playing at the same rate that they were playing, I couldn't play in their league or whatever
Gotcha.
in their ranking,
That
whatever.
sucks. That would
Yeah,
suck. Yeah.
and so it kind of sucks. Like you get locked out of playing with your friends, you get locked out of playing casually, and like unless you just want to really go hardcore and like get into it, then that's like you have to be competitive. And are you gonna get a deal to play competitively? No way. Like there's like 30, 100 people that are doing that out of like 20,000, 30,000, 100,000 players or something. Like it's not even a remote possibility. So it just makes the game worth not playing. And like people are gonna go play something else, like a single player Baldur's
Yeah.
Gate
Something that's a
3,
little bit more
because
fun
like
and
that's not
casual.
heavily
Yeah.
monetized. And like, hey, somebody
Hmm.
poured their soul into this game, and it's actually really fun to play. I can play a co-op, or I can do this, or hey, look, I can go play Legend of Zelda. Like uh, all the millions of other games that you can spend your time on that would
Yeah,
actually,
it's been
bring that enjoyment. And I think that Blizzard, not ultimately Activision, has kind of sucked that out of a lot of their games. Um,
yeah, which
Call of
sucks
Duty
because there's a market
is
for that
kind of
for sure.
interesting. It's very popular, but like it's popular for a different reason. And then it also has monetization that makes it worth investing in.
Right. Yeah, no, it's like lately I've been really busy, but I also haven't been very active in that many games over the past 10 years. I've done Final Fantasy 14. That's one of the only online games I've played. I played Fortnite, Counter-Strike, a little bit here and there, but like having a busy schedule and hope, it's not going to be soon, but for right now, doing so much stuff, it's like I may only get 10 minutes a week. I may get 10 minutes here, I may get an hour there, I may get 30 minutes here, and it's like it's interesting finding games for like quick burst of like creativity or like quick burst of attention and things like that, knowing that I'll have more time later on, but still being able to have fun even though I'm having like a short window to play has been interesting. And it sucks that, games like Overwatch or other types of titles wouldn't offer that. Because it's definitely there's a lot of us who can't go all in just yet, but still want to be considered gamers, who still want to like
Yeah.
continue
And
on that
like,
path, you know?
I understand what it is to like play one game and to lose and like, but you have to have fun in it still. And like
Exactly, right. Even though
when
you're
you lose
losing,
in
exactly.
Overwatch, it's like five people just trampling your entire team because your entire team can't make a cohesive element to
Slaughter.
fight this another entire team that is literally a cohesive element. And that's what sucks. Like, yeah, it's like a boss battle where like everybody's just running around with their heads cut off.
Damn, that sucks.
Yeah, that's the worst part about it. Like, oh man, there's so many characters, like there's so many combinations, but there's like if there's at least maybe five like just OP combinations on the other team that would just crush anything that isn't the counter to that.
No, it's interesting because as someone looking from the outside in, I'm excited that Microsoft is taking over Activision slash Blizzard or whatever you call it, because I like Microsoft, but I'm not heavily invested in any of the games on that platform. I think I did like Call of Duty. Is it fuck. The the Call of Duty competitor for Fortnite, it's either Fall Zone or it's not Fallout, but it came out during COVID. It was free to play, but it
Doesn't
was
matter.
really fun. I like that. I do think that they've sort of played it safe the past couple of years. Whenever I was back in high school and WoW had came out, I thought 15 years after that, WoW would have been like, there would have been other versions of it by now. And I think it's weird that they're kind of still operating at the same capacity as they were back then. I don't think they're really taking that many chances, and it's kind of sad to see. But maybe Microsoft getting involved will change things. But yeah, let's go over to our third topic. Topic.
All right, so the
Cool, let's
Marvels
do it.
sequel to Captain Marvel is projected to have the lowest opening weekend in Marvel Cinematic Universe, with an estimated gross between 47 and 52 million.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
pretty
so
low.
there's a lot of differing opinions on what's leading to this. I mean, one of the things is maybe superhero fatigue. I mean, people are
Right.
tired of seeing the superhero movie. Also, people just don't maybe like Captain Marvel overall. I mean, I've heard a
That
lot of
bitch.
that. I
No,
mean,
I'm
yeah, there's
joking.
this like racist and misogynistic opinion to it, but overall, like it's just hard to like a superpower anything like that's just
Yeah,
OP. I
it's
mean,
kind of
even
hard for her to
even
have
Superman
enemies
has like
because she's the
kryptonite.
most powerful
Like,
character.
yeah,
Exactly.
like,
Right. No,
and
that's a good
it's
point.
just kind of funny because like she's introduced, she's just way overpowered, and then like she just gets cameos just a couple times throughout a couple movies for the next 4 years, and then this movie comes out and it's just kind of lackluster. And I think a lot of it is that you know Marvel Cinematic Universe was always going to be about the Avengers, but
Right.
it's there's just too many like solo things playing out, and we
There.
we need to see more of like the Avengers tackling stuff because
Yeah. More team ups because they've been planting
yeah,
a lot of seeds and nothing has really culminated yet. Nothing has really paid off yet. There's been a lot of origin stories. I think people are kind of sick of the whole origin thing. It's almost like whenever Homecoming came out for Spider-Man, it's like, are they going to do a third origin Spider-Man again? Is he going to get bit by the radioactive spider, or are they just going to go into it, right? So they
yeah,
decided to just go into it and not do the whole thing anymore. He already had his powers. We're not really going to get into that, right? It's almost
yeah.
like seeing Batman being redone over and over and over. It's like eventually, like a certain amount of people are going to get tired of it. Like we want to see the
Oh,
payoff. So
I was
that's a good
way
point.
done with Batman after I saw Chris Nolan's trilogy. I didn't want to see any other Batmans,
Well,
honestly.
there's been two more since then.
Yeah, like I
Even
mean,
the original one came
I
back.
loved Chris Nolan's trilogy, and like I don't necessarily need to see another Batman origin story or anything else. I would love to see like Batman doing something else, fighting another cool villain, but like I don't need to see the rewriting of a Batman story, honestly.
Yeah, no. Well, surprisingly, I'm not gonna lie. I was on that side too. I was very against the Batman when it came out from Christopher Reeves. Is it Matthew Reeves? I'm having a brain fart right now. Mr. Reeves,
Christopher Reeves
whoever.
played Batman at one point. No, he played
Okay.
Superman. Sorry.
So it must be Matthew Reeves, and it's funny because I love him as a director, but me not being able to remember his name right now is kind of insulting. So I'm pretty sure it's Matt Reeves. He did the Planet of the Apes trilogy recently over the past decade, which is really good. There's a fourth movie coming out. Not the point, sorry. But yeah, the Batman was surprisingly really good. They redid the Riddler and it had Penguin in it, and it was really fucking good. I just saw it a couple weeks ago. But anyways, going back to the Marvels, I do know that Brie Larson, obviously, we talked about it, has had some controversy in the past. I do agree that it's hard to bring in an overpowered character and have them have some sort of conflict, have them properly be able to have a villain. I don't think Jude
You know,
Law
the
was
thing I hate about it is it's like there's really good examples of strong female characters
right.
all throughout filmatic. I mean, at least from the 70s onward. I mean, we look at the original Aliens with what was
Mhm.
her name? Sarah and
Oh,
Aliens.
oh, Alien.
Signoria Weaver.
There you go. Yeah,
And Terminator. I mean, Sarah Connor. Like,
yeah. I know.
dude, those are examples of it. It doesn't matter that the main character is a female.
Right.
She is. She does a great fucking job, right? Like
Hmm.
that's it. That's it. You don't have to reference every 5 minutes. Oh, I'm a strong female character, and like I need other
Hmm.
women to be strong with me, and like it just reeks of like
What about
Hollywood
every hour? No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. No, I do know that when you
because
have
it's not
characters,
there's not an equivalent. There's not like men on the screen saying I'm a strong man. It's like no, there's a strong
right,
guy on the screen like beating the shit out of another strong guy.
right. Well, maybe they should. Maybe the men should get up there and say that.
No,
No, but no,
no.
but all jokes aside, I do think we're in a time where there's a lot of criticism. There's a lot of opinions. So it's almost like who has the loudest voice? Like it could be, oh, she's an overpowered character. Oh, she says she's a female too much. Oh, she came in at an awkward time. It's just like the conversation keeps going back and forth between what the biggest critique is. And I do think that the character is just there's just a lot going on with it. It's hard to pinpoint what the actual problem is, right? The original Marvel film made $1 billion, so it worked, right?
Yeah.
Like it wasn't a bad movie. Like it was one of the $1 billion movies for Marvel. So an audience did come out to support it, despite there being so much backlash. So it's like, is the backlash valid because the movie made $1 billion, right? Marvel movies now aren't making $1 billion, so it's like maybe
No,
the
I
problem,
think it's just a chance for this movie to kind of fight for something, right? Like at
right?
least a little bit more of the share of the pie because it needs to. And that's and that's the worst thing. That's what I
Well,
hate
here's the
about this.
thing. They should have delayed the movie, right? But they decided not to. It was obvious that the movie wasn't going to make the money back, right? There really hasn't been any successful movies this year other than like two, Barbie, Barbie and Oppenheimer. I think other than that, most movie. Oh, and well, I don't know. Was Maverick? Tom Cruise, Top Gun, Maverick. That was last year, I think, or 2021. But there really haven't been that many successful movies. So mathematically speaking, if you release a high budget movie this year, it's going to fail, right? So people also need to understand that. Just because a movie fails nowadays doesn't mean it's a bad movie, right? DC had what like three flops this year. Fucking Mission Impossible, a beautiful
Well,
series that
yeah, I mean
flopped.
that's just
You
directly
know,
related to how much money people don't have, which they don't have
right?
money, so they're
Exactly,
not
and also
gonna go to
streaming,
movie theaters. I mean, uh, it's
right?
not
So
like
the
people
fact that
working three
Marvel
jobs
released
have
the
time to
movie
go to the
anyway,
movies. They have to wait for it
true.
to come out on
Marvel
streaming services.
Marvel released the movie anyways, which tells me that they think it's a good movie, right? Despite everything that's been going on, they shortened it to an hour and 45 minutes. They released it anyways after so many delays. I think what they just pushed back Captain America New World Order, and they also pushed
Well, you
back the
know why,
Thunderbolts.
right? Because of the strikes.
Well, yes.
I mean,
Yes,
the strikes are actually doing their job, and I'm
right.
actually kind of thankful for that.
But are they though? Because we really haven't seen the result yet. So I think it's a little bit too
Well, we're
early to
starting to
say
see
that.
movies are flopping. I mean, one of the biggest, I mean, I'll say probably one of the
But
biggest,
COVID also,
no, one of the biggest
it
factors in
hasn't.
the Marvels not really doing anything was directly because of the strike. Actors couldn't promote the movie on social media, or like they couldn't do studio tours, or like not studio, but like late night tours or anything like that. There
Yeah, but they
wasn't
were
the
able to do that stuff before the strike, and those movies still flopped. Look at Eternals.
no, but I'm thinking
Um,
this is a direct factor for the Marvels right now, and like anything going forward, if the strike continues, it's going to be what
well, the strike
happens.
is over, thank God. Both strikes are over, actors and writers. So we're
Well,
finally about to go
supposedly,
back to, yeah, exactly, right? There's always something. There's COVID and strike and then all this stuff. So we're finally about to go back to pre-2020 cinema, right? For TV shows and films, which a lot of weight comes with that because now we're going to have to make sure that everything that we said during those times, right? It's just like it's going to be
not
a little
really,
awkward
because
for a little.
Loki is now the god of stories. You can just change the story.
Hey, I haven't seen it yet. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Although I am super excited to see Loki. I haven't spoiled much of it. So, and even if it's spoiled, I'll still like it. Endgame was spoiled for me before I went to see it. It was fucking awesome. So yeah, no, it's gonna be really interesting to see what happens going forward. I think Deadpool 3 is going to be bigger than anyone anticipated. I do
Oh
know that
yeah,
the X-Men are officially
it's the
involved
only
in the
movie
in
on
the
the release
MCU.
schedule next year
It is, right. So we have another big delay, right? Because to me, Captain America, the New
because of
World
the
Order,
actors' strike
or
and the
whatever it's
writers'
called now,
strike.
Brave New Order. I know, dude, but like to me, we need Captain America. We need
I think they
spies.
wanted
We
to
need all
release
that cool
Marvels way
stuff in
sooner.
Marvel.
I think they wanted to release Marvels way sooner, and they wanted to release Deadpool like right now. But the
Yeah.
actor strike has put them off by like 6 months, and now they're just like, every movie that comes out is going to be a flop in this time frame because this was
It's gonna
supposed to
be a
be the
flop.
Deadpool's time frame.
Yeah, all this stuff was supposed to be out even before this year, like because of
Oh
all
yeah.
this stuff that's been going on. These movies have all been delayed like 3 times. I'm
Oh
surprised
yeah.
even
No,
Guardians
I mean
3 was able to
that's
come out.
that's kind of what it is because the strike's been going on for what almost like 5 months now, and
It's been a
like
long
so
time.
before the
It's
strike,
been so
there
long that
had
it's
to
kind of
be a
annoying.
general dissatisfaction in the industry. I mean, you
Hmm.
know how many of these video project warehouses, the video production warehouses, were just pissed about how much CGI they had to redo every single time because like the entire movie was filmed on a fucking green screen. And so like once they
Yeah.
refilmed it, oh
Ant-Man
man, we
3.
need to change this entire scene that they're all in. Like, fuck, we need to make a whole new thing. And then so Unreal's been losing a bunch of money because apparently the movie studios have just been using that for free.
Yeah, no, it's been an awkward time in all of these industries, and it's like we keep hearing that, yay, it's over, we're moving ahead, we're moving ahead. It's obviously being reinvented, right? But it's like whenever there's a problem, who do you trust? There's always these leaks, there's always something coming out saying it's so and so's fault, it's the actor's fault, it's the writer's fault, it's the change of director's fault, it's the money's fault, it's the consumer's fault. It's like there's been
Yeah, I mean
so
it's
much of
basic
that.
Hollywood.
Yeah,
Anytime anybody passes the blame,
exactly.
it's just fucking bullshit.
Yeah, no, and it's like whose fault really is it? Well, now hopefully the blame game will be over going forward as of next year. All of
No,
the
it's
striking,
it's
all of
internal.
the
It's exclusive to Hollywood in general.
Yeah,
We're
exactly, exactly.
not going to see that out of just like mass production stuff. Um, yeah, I
Well,
don't
hey,
know. I
we're
don't
getting
know
a
how they're
new
going
we're
to turn it
getting a
around.
new
Like
DC.
they have to they have to have showrunners. Like, I mean, I think the early Avengers were successful because of Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man and
Yeah,
whatever his name was
and
is
Chris
Captain
Evans. Don't
America.
forget
Chris
about my
Evans
boy
is
Chris.
yeah, and whatever Thor's guy is,
Christopher Hemsworth,
Christopher
right?
Hemsworth, exactly.
And Paul
And
Ruffalo,
I
or
think
fuck, I
that's
can't remember
ultimately
anyone's
what's
name right
tying
now.
it all to what tied it all together in the beginning, and
Mark Ruffalo.
they can't strike gold again like that so
No,
easily.
the
They're
Avengers
trying.
wasn't as good as people thought it was at the beginning. I mean, you had Edward Norton, who was the Incredible Hulk, and he fucked it, right?
Yeah.
You had fucking the guy, the black guy that played War Machine, Terrence. Can't think of the name right now. I
Don't
just
even
said
listen.
Paul Ruffalo. Yeah, yeah, it's so crazy. A major Avenger was recast, right? In the very beginning. Two of them, two Avengers that we know of today were literally recast, right? In the
Yep.
very beginning. So like Marvel didn't take off until 2012, 4 years after the original actors pretty much played their parts. And it wasn't until the Avengers movie that Marvel took off. I mean, you had a bunch of TV shows then that were also flops. You had all these projects that were supposed to come out for ABC after Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that were never brought on. You had Agent Carter, which was an amazing show, but nobody watched it, so that was canceled. Like Marvel hasn't always been the perfect situation that people think it was during Infinity War and Endgames. There have been
Oh, I never said it
problems.
was.
No,
I
no,
said it was
I'm not.
riddled
No,
with
no,
bad
no, no,
writing
no.
and like,
I'm not saying you are. No, no, no. I'm not saying you are. But
no.
I think when Endgame came out, people said, "Oh yeah, Marvel's awesome. It's perfect. It's perfect." But there's been problems this entire time, and it's never going to be perfect, right? So I just think that going forward, there's a lot of fucking shit they plan on doing. Comic books get really weird, so I think people just have to be ready for how weird it's going to be. It's never going to be like the Avengers ever again, like
Yeah.
the original one. There's going to be a lot more people at play. It's going to be very overly complex. It's going to be insane, and I think when Secret Wars comes out in Brave New World, it's going to be awesome. Also,
Yeah,
Deadpool 3.
I'm excited.
I'm repeating myself. I'm sorry.
I hope that the rumors are true and that Marvel actually just engineered all this to be shit so that their next phase four is going to be awesome. But I think there's also a
I
lot of other
kind of
factors that
think
just kind of led into it being also terrible in other ways.
I
Culmination of
do
other
think I do think they are
shortcuts that
planning
they've
this out
taken.
more than people give them credit for. I yeah. I mean, how do you? I'm not familiar with the Secret Wars comic book line. I'm not familiar with any of the comic book stories that they're trying to do. Like everyone's sort of familiar with the Avengers, yes, but like,
Only
are you
because the
familiar
Avengers
with
came
any?
out. Yeah.
Right, right. But like, there's a lot of people out there saying, "Oh, so and so isn't like this." Like, are you familiar with Kang and Secret Wars from the comic books?
No.
I'm just asking to get your insight
No,
because I'm
no.
not. I'm
No,
talking
I mean
about this
all
purely
of it's
from a
coming
movie
new to me.
perspective. Yeah, same here, right? And we're the main ones going out there supporting it, right? It's like, yeah, all the people who read the comic books, right, originally, are they all dead now? I don't know. Like, are they actually going out there to support this stuff? So it's like I think it's more so being made for us versus them, right? But people always
Well, I
say,
mean
oh,
it's
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 not.
honestly just it is a great potential of it's a wealth of just content, right? And that's what these
Yeah,
movie studios are doing. They're trying to drive content because people want to enjoy it, right?
yeah.
Um, but there's a lot of
But it's like
factors that
who
drive on whether or
though?
not content is actually good. And I feel like Marvel and Disney in general just spending hundreds of millions of dollars on these projects to pay just inordinate, crazy things, and they're not really getting what they should out of it, right? I mean, like a 1-to-1, maybe like a 5% increase year over year, like for 10
Hmm.
years or something like this, or it doesn't really seem as good of an investment as it could be. And I think a lot of those decisions are driven by how poorly managed they are, right?
Yeah.
From a creative
It's a big
perspective.
deal though. It's a big thing to take on. I mean, you have what, 80 to 100 years of people to please, right? So
Well,
you
no,
have to
it's like
please,
it's like it's like Disney just bought the IP, made a list of all the characters, and it's just like,
but it
hey, we're gonna make
worked.
a movie for every single one of these. We're gonna pay you $150 million. We'll pay you $200 million. We'll pay you $300 million because you kind of know what you're
Pay
doing a
me
little bit over
$300 million.
there. Uh,
I'll
and
write
like
a
that's
fucking
that's
story.
exactly what they did with it. They didn't take any kind of care to say, hey, this is the story that we're gonna tell with these comic books that we have such a great source material. There's no overarching like it's just kind of made up on the fly, right? Like
Yeah,
there was no 10-year plan for the Marvels made when it wasn't conceptualized. It was
I
literally
love
just
that
like a
word.
list of characters like, all right, let's start with Iron Man, Captain America. Like those are the most popular comic books.
Well, it
And
worked,
like
damn it.
now they're
The
getting to the
Winter
bottom of the
Soldier is
list
still
and
my
like there's
favorite
not a
Marvel
whole lot
film
of things that they
always.
can fill in at the bottom of the list. And like
Also talked.
everything that they've kind of introduced at the top of the list is like obviously the most popular and what most people who like comic books got into.
I know, right? See, I was always action figures and like X-Men TV show, right? I never read a
Mm,
comic in my entire
yeah,
life,
I was
right? But
video
like I
games
was
and
very into
Gundam
like
and
action
Legos.
figures and video games, right? So I feel like, like there's always different perspectives, obviously, but it's like,
Yeah.
there's so many different iterations
I
of these
was I was
characters. It's
all
like what
about
source
Legos.
material are you gonna pay attention to? It's hard. It's a big world. But hey, when we're commenting on this 10, 20 years from now, where we're making millions of dollars, hopefully everyone's satisfied, right? Hopefully everyone gets something out of it, right? Because by then we'll have a new DC, we'll have new Marvel, we'll have all this shit. Hopefully we'll have VR. Like we'll be able to fucking play these characters in video games. That would be awesome.
Yeah. I
We'll
think
literally be
that's
able to
I
be
think
these
that's
characters
also
in like
been
10
a
years.
large disconnect in Hollywood too, is that they haven't made content for video games like they could have. Like
Right.
I'll take this example out right now and we'll look at
Hmm.
Cyberpunk 2077, right? Great game, came out in a terrible state, wasn't able to play on older consoles. Now it's kind of like a performance measure for how good a computer can be. Like it kind of used
Right.
to be like, can it run Crisis, right? Do you remember those days?
Why does that sound familiar? No, wait.
So Crisis
I
was
can
also
see
like
it, but I
a
can't remember.
was like the technical pinnacle at the time of like how a computer like if you had one of the fastest computers when Crisis came out, it ran terrible. Like it was not meant for computers at the time. It was meant for computers of the next generation. Um, which it's kind of stifled sales a little bit, but it ultimately turned it into it catapulted it into like a meme, one of the early memes, and it's kind of funny because that's how you could measure performance on a computer after that game came out is what could that computer run Crisis, because it was like the next generation after
That's
that
cool.
top tier computer, like peak performance computer, that was the one that could like maybe run it, and then like the generation after that top tier was probably going to run it very good. Right.
Oh,
Like
how far have you
that's
come?
kind of what Cyberpunk came out as, and like
Yeah.
it was not greatly received at that point, and it had a lot of work to do, but they released version 2.0. But in that time, they've also made an anime show. I
Hell
don't know
yeah.
if you have Netflix, you should check out the Edge Runner series. It
The price is
is
too fucking
wicked.
expensive now. Isn't Netflix like $25 now? They've gone up
Okay,
like
well,
three
there's
times
also,
this year.
the Pirate Bay, but don't do the Pirate
No,
Bay.
you're right. No, there are other options that we won't speak of.
There
Yeah,
are
no,
other
I agree.
options.
See, the thing about Netflix, I'm definitely going back, but when I go back, I'm going to consume everything I can out of it for the month, and then I'm going to drop it for 6 more months. So I am going back though.
Yeah, so put
But
that
yeah,
on your
go on.
list, Edge Runners, if you
Yes,
like
for
anime
sure.
and
All
Cyberpunk.
right. Cool.
That is a
Cool.
wicked series, and yeah. They're also in talks of doing a live action Cyberpunk movie, and I think they're even doing live action Witcher movies. If you haven't played the Witcher franchise, that's a video game based off of a book. So
Nice.
this is kind
That's
of
the
where
one with Henry Cavill,
this
right?
is where I kind of see the future of content coming from, right? So
Of
somebody wrote out this
course.
book, they made great content. It's The Witcher that catapulted CD Projekt Red into making video games, and they're well received, like top spec video games, top tier storytelling in a lot of cases. In most of their cases, I mean, the new Cyberpunk Liberty expansion, holy shit, man! Like that story is absolutely
Holy
gripping to
fuck.
play. I love it because every time you get into it, like there's no cutscenes. It's like you're dragged into the actual happenings through a first person view. And it's really good because it's like there's no stopping, there's no starting, there's no like loading. It's like you're in the cutscene now, like shit's blowing up, like you gotta probably avoid stuff maybe, like you gotta interact with it a little bit too, like maybe make
Nice.
some dialogue decisions, like interact with characters while like stuff is happening. There's like timers going off, like it's really good. Really engaging. I love it. I want I don't have enough time to like kind of sit down and play it more, but I do want to,
Yeah, no, I'm in a similar
because it's
situation. I
super
have so much I
engaging.
want to
But
do.
like this is where it's going, and they're making live action content for it. They're gonna make other kind of like, I know they've done like a Red podcast kind of thing that they're doing, talking
Nice.
about the development of the game. Gearbox
Yeah,
Software,
I've been
which
following them
owns,
more on social media. Like
yeah,
what I think whenever we talked about them a couple of weeks ago and I looked up, I didn't even know the name of the developers or the name of the company that created the game and distributed it. There's always some sort of it's always different sometimes. But yeah, but it's called Project Red CD. What was it called?
yeah, CD Projekt Red.
There you go. I knew I was close. Yeah, no, I've been seeing their posts more on social media since I followed them, and they're definitely more interesting than I would have thought. I like the way
Yeah,
that they
so I see it
promote.
being
So
this
yeah,
real vertical integration cord around the content.
hmm
Just making this upward stream from like you have the written content and you can turn it into visual content. Now that you've
right,
developed like a world literally that people can go
right,
explore in,
exactly,
imagine filming a movie in like that, but just like rendering it
exactly.
to real
Yes,
resolutions,
world
right?
building. Yes, I like
That's what
that.
the shift to for CD Projekt Red, the shift to Unreal Engine is, because Unreal Engine is the same thing that they're using to make Avengers. So like imagine if you like, oh man, we already created the entire world of Cyberpunk. Let's just go
hmm
film in the streets of Cyberpunk,
Right. Yeah. See, that would
right?
be
With
awesome.
like
You have
with
different
fidelity that we can
interpretations of
render
different.
like limitlessly, like we don't have to render on demand like a video game. 100%. Let's go like film a movie in it. And I think the potential there to have that vertical integration of having the content developed from the base up allows you to tell more intricate stories. Because then, like, dude, just imagine like a Law and Order series, but in Cyberpunk 2077,
Yeah,
or like
exactly.
an
I like stuff
NCIS
like that. I
series
love
in
stuff
20
like that.
in Night City. That's the name of
Right.
the capital city there.
or like a
Like,
comedy show, like
yeah,
set in that universe. Yeah, dude, stuff like that to me has always
yeah,
been
like
interesting because it
Scrubs,
makes
but
me know that they've
like
thought it
people
out
with
completely.
cybernetic arms and like laser beam eyes and stuff.
Yeah, yes, that would be awesome. That would be
Yeah,
awesome. That means the
I
entire
think the
team is
stories to
working
tell in that kind of
extensively.
universe are absolutely wild. And I think that's the thing that Marvel ultimately is missing out, and ultimately what kind of
Well,
Star Wars is missing out on
they
too
tried
is
it.
they
Yeah.
have this like they have all this rich content to extract
Hmm.
from, and they're trying to like add more onto it. It's like, nah, like there's some deep stuff that we can dive, like the Mandalorian. It's been so popular because it's diving into all the Mandalorian stuff, and like that
Right.
was
Not
just
just
like
Jedi
kind of a
focused stuff.
backstory
Right.
of one character of the original films,
Right. Exactly.
right?
Right. No, and I agree. I hope more people or more companies take chances like that. It can't always be just the main characters being the focus. We have to make sure that they're fully fleshing out these characters that have also been showing up as well on the side. I think one of the most interesting things about The Walking Dead, I know this is sort of off topic, but just the way I'm going to explain it was sort of tie into what we're talking about. How like originally you had your main cast, right? Well, a lot of those main people died off. So now you have these people like Carol, who started off as a background character, and now she went on to sort of lead the show in certain seasons. And I think that when you do stuff like that, it sort of makes it seem like it means you know how to write the overall story. It can't just be about
Yeah,
Rick. Right? There's other characters who have been showing up incrementally on the side who deserve the spotlight, and you should be able to write them in a similar way that you wrote the original characters. Game of Thrones did this really well. Um,
yeah. Episode
for
one.
for their characters. It's like, yeah, episode like you have some of the children, or you have like some of the characters almost like talking about Stannis and his arc, right? You have Amali Sandra, I can't never say her name, Amali Sandra, who's burning people, right? She makes it further than Stannis. You have who's the guy that Stannis was with, who was the fucking smuggler. Ah, I forgot. Anyways, he goes on to survive out of everyone in that group of characters. And I just feel like it's not always about the main focus. So I agree with you. Sorry for getting off topic, but yeah.
No, I mean it's all just kind of like movies and stuff, you
Yeah,
know.
but that's how the story continues on. You should be able to kill off the main character. You should be able to kill off people associated with the main character. Plot armor sucks. You should be able to advance the story further than just what you originally put out as far as where the focus is. And that means that you can really write about the entire world that you built and not just the character that you put on the front of the poster? So
Yeah.
yeah. Hopefully more teams can come up with stuff like that. Hey, maybe we'll write something together and turn it into a video game one day. I'm pretty sure we're smart enough, so look forward to that. Maybe.
Hell yeah. So yeah, that kind of wraps up for that topic.
Yeah, dude, we've been talking for a long time. That was
Yeah, it's nice. I
that
mean,
was
we're
good.
we're kind of rolling up on our time frame here, but
I know. That's the interesting thing about being a nerd. You can just
do
go
you,
on and on and on and on and
yeah,
on and on.
so let's to go on and on and on. You wrote an article about the A93 coming out.
Yes.
So
It got
you're
a lot of
not
attention
necessarily
too.
a camera nerd like I am, but
Yes, I'm not. I want to
are
be.
you? I mean, do you like cameras? Do you know much about
Dude, I
cameras?
used to work at Wolf Camera, one of my first full-time jobs ever after being a
Oh,
Zaxby's cook back in 2008. 2008 is I worked at Wolf Camera in Fayetteville with do you remember Chelsea? Yeah, no, she was cool. She got me the job at Wolf Camera in Fayetteville. We're Peachtree City. Then I transitioned over to Fayetteville. Then I also transitioned over to Morrow,
hey
Georgia.
Dan.
But I got to sell cameras back in the day, dude,
Sorry.
before they became popular in smartphones. And of course, the camera market changed after smartphones became a thing and you had cameras in every pocket. But dude, there's still a market for literal cameras, physical cameras. So I'll let you continue on from here.
Sorry, say that again.
No, I was just
No,
saying
no, no,
that
just the last part. I kind of heard
no,
most of
no,
it,
no,
but
I was gonna say like before cameras became a thing in smartphones and obviously changed the market, you still have point and shoots, you still have um DSLRs. You still have, I think now they have mirrorless cameras, which is what Sony has been pushing. But I was sort of there before the transition. You're still here afterwards, so I was going to let you take it on after this.
Okay, so that's actually kind of interesting because it kind of brings back to the actual transition. So I remember I was
Yeah.
working at a company doing picture portraits. At the time, I was using Nikon. I had a personal Nikon. I
Yeah.
also had work Nikons. And I remember the
And
announcement of, I remember the first Sony SLT, which was the A77. I don't know if you ever saw that one, but it had a mirror in it, but it was like it had a viewfinder, electric viewfinder, so it
Mhm.
wasn't necessarily the same. It was like it was a fixed mirror. It didn't flap up and down like the old shutter cameras used to. Like the one in my hands was I was holding, and I saw that, and I saw that they had like a lower line of the NZX mirrorless cameras at the time, and I was like, oh, this is the future, 100%. And then, oh man, Sony played the game so well. They made such a great lineup of cameras, and it's kind of incredible what they've done. They have like the 6,000 series and the 7,000 series, which are APS-C sensor cameras, and then they have their full frame lineup, which is a larger sensor and larger actual pixels. Um, and that was their A7, and then they eventually released a A9 and an A1 lineup. It's it's brilliant what they did. They made essentially all the same like core elements, but they just put a little bit different in a little bit different configuration, and they put a different name on it, and they sold it as a different product. But they were able to streamline all their processes, and like they can make all these kinds of different cameras that really do excellent in very unique situations, right? Like if you need an absolutely beast full frame high resolution camera, you get the A7R, which is like a 100
Exactly.
megapixel camera, right? But it shares roughly the same body and the same core electronics with the A7S, which has like a 12 megapixel sensor. But that's an absolute beast low light camera. Like it can film in like candlelit dungeon kind of places, like
Hell
where
yeah.
there's very little lighting. And they've been able to create this like wide range of products. But with the A9's 3 release, it's literally that over again. They've like completely changed how cameras are gonna be from now on, because that's what they did with mirrorless. They saw the light.
Hmm.
Canon and Nikon eventually followed suit. They're making good cameras on this level, and then Sony releases this camera. We're gonna see some. We're gonna see some downsides to it, like maybe it doesn't have as much dynamic range, maybe
Hmm.
it doesn't have as low light of a performance. But what we are seeing is a camera that is capable of processing imagery at 120 frames per second at
Nice.
24 megapixels.
Nice.
24, I think mega is billion pixels. It is absolutely wild how much
Well,
information it can take in literally 120 times a second.
nice. And that
Originally,
used to not
so
be a
what
thing.
this is a change in from rolling shutter, which is like, you know how TVs used to have old CRTs, like they used to
Oh
kind of
God.
have like a little
Don't
scan
remind me.
pattern. Well, if you
Sorry.
what?
I was saying, don't remind me of how big TVs and monitors used to be back in the day.
Yeah.
It's
So
depressing. But no, it is cool
they
that you're
kind
talking
of
about it, though.
worked
I'm
like
just
you
joking.
read. Like they started up at the top left and they displayed information all the way across it, and then they went to the next line down. And they just did this fast enough that you didn't really notice it.
Right.
Kinda, but that's what that flicker was you like noticing it turning off and turning on again. Um, but it's really interesting because that's how cameras used to read data. They used to read sequentially from left to right, from top to bottom. And what this means is that there is actually a time difference between where the first pixel is read at the top and where the last pixel is read at the bottom, meaning that information could actually kind of like warp and skew. That's what you see like the helicopter. You ever see the videos or the pictures where the blades look like they're curling, like they're like not straight?
Wait, you said, is that why the monitor was curved? It
No,
wasn't flat?
you ever see
Or am I
like a
thinking?
video of a
Sorry.
helicopter, but the spinning blades are like they look like
Oh,
they're not straight. they're like warped. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's
Thank
because
you for explaining that.
yeah, that's because the sensor is reading out information slower than the speed of the blades on the screen. Um, and there's
That's
even just
cool.
that tiny fraction of a second is just so small. But now this camera can capture all that data at one time, just 120
Yeah.
times a second.
That's fucking awesome, dude. And it's so this camera, what it's gonna start at what, like 299, a thousand and
6,000,
six. Oh, what
599.
the A9? Damn. I hope that's what I
Yeah,
wrote
it
in my
is.
article.
It's their flagship camera, pretty much. It's kind of revolutionary, honestly.
That's awesome. And it's funny because people don't even know that this market is still a thing. Only if you're like a professional, but like, regular consumers, people who still get on Instagram and take snapshots with their iPhones. I know Lady Gaga at one point filmed a music video with an iPhone, I believe, a couple of years ago, back before COVID. Like people still think that that's how things are being shot. That's what professionals use, and they don't understand there's still a market for like actual standalone cameras. I know even Sony has a smartphone, an Android device. I think it's called the
Yeah,
Xperia One
Xperia line.
5.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's got like
I actually wanted to get
crazy.
one for a while.
Dude, I still want to get one just so I can have a nice camera in my pocket. And
Well,
they
because
charge
it actually integrates with my Sony ecosystem pretty well. Like I think you could
nice.
probably not with my older cameras, but with newer cameras, you can use it as like a remote monitor.
Hmm.
So you can
Which
actually
is
like put your camera on a cage and then have your phone up top, and like that's giving you a live view of what the camera sees, and then you can have like camera controls on it and stuff. It's kind of nice.
No, I do. I'm saying, like I said, excuse me, I do want to get back into professional photography. I think it's so cool. I know when I worked back in the day with camera, like DSLRs were first becoming a thing, and they couldn't even do video yet back then. Like, I know I
Oh yeah.
remember when
DSLRs are still terrible at videos.
I remember when that was a huge thing. It was a huge selling point whenever I was selling them back in the day. So I know that like I know things have advanced past then, and I really am excited to learn about them. I know being doing marketing and promotional stuff for our project and our channel and our company on Instagram is a big thing for me. Like I want to know why like certain pictures and certain shots look clearer than others, and I'm excited to get in there. And I eventually want to get a Sony camera. I know you use one for the podcast, and whenever we get on video, surely that's what you'll be using for the video. And I want to get one. I think the one that you have, what is like 750 or like $1,000? What
Oh
is it?
no, I'm actually gonna make you a recommendation right now. The
Okay.
Sony ZV-1. They have a
How
couple
much
of
is that?
these. The ZV-1 is
Yeah.
really cheap. That's $500. That'll get you really
Yeah, I
good.
think that was around the price I was planning on spending. For some reason, I had 750 in my mind, but yeah, I think me and you talked about this a couple of months ago. But I'm definitely getting one. It's on my list.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you this one. It's nice. It
Okay, cool.
doesn't you can't change the lens. Um,
That's okay. Because I don't
but
want to go all in for my first camera in 15 years. So I'm okay starting entry level. I just
yeah.
want something good. Just want something good. And then from there I'll start to move up. But yeah, dude, I'm excited about getting back into things that just shots that
You
look good.
might
Because
actually be able to buy a used camera. This is what
dude,
I always
yes,
forget about, but B&H Photo Video, they've got a great
send me
used
that.
some. Let's see. Oh, man, they actually have like a Sony Z1. Yeah, they got a couple on here for. Oof, that's nice. Yeah,
AMD
501,
Ryzen Z1.
509. That's nice.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I just recently ordered a 17-inch Lenovo Windows laptop. It's actually going to be here tomorrow, so I'll be back on Windows officially as of tomorrow. Yay, desktop applications. But yeah, dude, it gets here tomorrow finally, and it's like a $800 laptop that I got for $360 on Amazon for use. So, I'm definitely into spending less money on something that still works for sure.
Right. All right, I sent this over to your chat.
Okay, cool. Dude, I'm also excited to get back on Teams desktop version. I'll be able to
Oh
organize my
gosh,
teams a little bit
I see
better.
I see Dan using it on the Mac, and I feel sorry for him. I'm sorry that Microsoft does that to Mac users. It's absolutely
Yeah, also
horrific.
Linux users as well, and also Chrome OS users. Yeah, dude, I only got my three tabs, but I'll be able to do the whole fucking operation as of hopefully tomorrow. I'm super excited. I'm gonna post a review as well.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's why I also want to get this Sony camera so I can get better at product reviews also.
Yeah. I think these ones you can just use straight USB-C and like
Okay,
use it as a webcam. I think
I can
they
do that.
natively support that.
Cool.
I would definitely check into that. Make sure that it's the ZV-1 that does that.
Okay, cool.
Well, that's all the time we have for today on the Vertical Bar Podcast. As always, it's been a blast exploring technology with all of you.
Indeed, it has, Jared. And remember, folks, if you want to learn more about the topics we have discussed, check out the description with links to our social media profiles. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to the podcast for more tech adventures.
Absolutely, Marcus. We'd love to hear from you. Reach out with your questions, ideas, or just say hi. We're on all social media platforms as Vertical Bar Media.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and remember the only constant in technology is change. Doo-doo-doo. Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Got it.